Most people believe they are free. They are not. They wake up already behind. Already distracted. Already reacting. That is mental slavery. And it's everywhere. Here is the shocking truth. Your mind is either working for you, or it is working against you. There is no neutral state. No middle ground. An undisciplined mind works against you. If you do not train your mind, it defaults to fear. If you do not direct your thoughts, they scatter. If you do not choose discipline, emotion chooses for you. You have a choice. That's the key. Look at how most people live. They overthink simple decisions. They procrastinate on important ones. They let emotion dictate action. They say they're tired. They say they're stressed. They say they'll start tomorrow. But that's not the real problem. It's not about intelligence. It's about discipline. It's not about motivation. It's about control. An undisciplined mind works against you. Overthinking is not depth. It is paralysis. When you replay conversations in your head, you're not being thoughtful. You're being controlled. When you delay action because you're not ready, you're not being careful. You're being enslaved by fear. Fear of failure. Fear of judgment. Fear of discomfort. You don't need their permission. You don't need perfect conditions. You need command over your own mind. That's the key. Look at procrastination. People call it laziness. It's not. Procrastination is the mind avoiding discomfort. It is the mind choosing relief over progress. Scrolling instead of starting. Planning instead of executing. Waiting instead of moving. An undisciplined mind works against you. And then there's emotional decision making. This is where most damage is done. You react when you're angry. You quit when you're frustrated. You speak when silence would give you power. Emotion feels urgent, but urgency is not truth. You have a choice. You can pause. You can observe. You can decide. That pause is power. That pause is control. That pause is the difference between a weapon and a prison. A trained mind does not eliminate emotion. It overrides it. It says, I feel this, but I will not be led by it. I notice this thought, but I will not obey it. That's the key. Here is what you must start doing. Immediately. First, separate thought from action. A thought appears. You do not act. You observe it. You label it. You decide. Second, interrupt emotional momentum. When emotion spikes, slow down. Lower your voice. Delay response. Silence buys clarity. Time restores control. Third, train your focus daily. Even 5 minutes of stillness. No phone. No stimulation. Just you directing your attention. This is not comfort. This is conditioning. An undisciplined mind works against you. A disciplined mind becomes a weapon. It cuts through distraction. It resists impulse. It moves when others hesitate. You don't need their permission to change. You don't need approval to take control. You need discipline. That's the key. Understand this clearly. Life does not overwhelm strong minds. It overwhelms distracted ones. Pressure exposes weakness. Discipline eliminates it. Your mind will either trap you in cycles of fear and delay, or it will drive you forward with precision and calm. You have a choice, and this is only the beginning. You've seen the prison. Now it's time to build the weapon. You've identified the problem. Now you take control of the source. Because if you don't control your thoughts, they will control your actions. And if they control your actions, life controls you. You mastered awareness. Now it's time to master direction. Every action you take starts as a thought. Every failure does too. Nothing happens randomly. Nothing changes accidentally. Thoughts are commands, and most people never question them. That's why they repeat the same mistakes. That's why they live the same year over and over again. An undisciplined mind works against you. Here is the truth most people avoid. You don't act based on reality. You act based on the story in your head about reality. You have a choice. That's the key. A weak thought says, I can't. A disciplined mind responds, prove it. A weak thought says, I'll do it later. A disciplined mind responds, now is the only time. Thoughts create emotion. Emotion pushes action. Action builds your life. Break that chain at the thought level, and you take control. Most people never do. They let thoughts run wild. Unchecked. Unchallenged. One negative thought becomes 10. 10 become doubt. Doubt becomes inaction. That's not bad luck. That's mental negligence. An undisciplined mind works against you. Listen carefully. Not every thought deserves respect. Some thoughts are fear pretending to be logic. Some are excuses dressed as realism. You don't need their permission. Not from people, not from your own mind. Here's a real-world example. You think about starting something important. A business, a workout, a difficult conversation. Immediately, a thought appears. What if it doesn't work? That single thought triggers hesitation. Hesitation delays action. Delay kills momentum. And nothing happens. You blame circumstances. But the truth is simpler. You obeyed the wrong thought. You had a choice. That's the key. High performers don't have better thoughts. They have better filters. They question weakness. They interrogate doubt. They refuse to let fear speak last. When a limiting thought appears, they ask one question. Does this move me forward? If the answer is no, the thought is discarded. No debate. No negotiation. It's not about confidence. It's about discipline. Here's another example. Criticism. Someone questions you, doubts you, disrespects you. A thought appears. I need to defend myself. That thought leads to reaction. Reaction exposes emotion. Emotion gives away power. An undisciplined mind works against you. A disciplined mind pauses, observes, chooses silence or precision. You don't need their permission to stay composed. You don't need to prove anything. That's the key. Here is the practice you must adopt. First, name the thought. I'm avoiding. I'm afraid. I'm seeking approval. Naming creates distance. Distance creates control. Second, replace, don't wrestle. You don't argue with weak thoughts. You replace them with disciplined ones. I don't feel like it, becomes. I do it anyway. Third, act immediately on disciplined thoughts. Speed reinforces authority. Delay weakens it. Your mind learns who is in charge by what you act on. You have a choice. Every day, your thoughts test you. They ask, are you in control, or am I? Answer with action. Because the mind you don't command today will command you tomorrow. An undisciplined mind works against you. A disciplined mind builds momentum. This is how control is established. Thought by thought, decision by decision. You are no longer reacting blindly. You are directing deliberately. You've learned where actions come from. Now you must learn what sabotages them most. Because thoughts are dangerous, but emotion is faster. You understand the source. Now it's time to confront the hijacker. Emotion is fast. Faster than logic. Faster than reason. That's why it's dangerous. If emotion leads, discipline disappears. And when discipline disappears, control is gone. An undisciplined mind works against you. Most people believe emotion is something to express, something to follow, something to let out. That belief ruins lives. Emotion is information, not instruction. It tells you something is happening. It does not tell you what to do. You have a choice. That's the key. Look at anger. Anger feels powerful, but it makes people stupid. It pushes words you can't take back, decisions you regret, actions that expose weakness. The first person to lose emotional control loses leverage, always. An undisciplined mind works against you. Fear works the same way. Fear whispers urgency. It says, act now or lose. So people rush. They quit early. They settle. Fear doesn't protect you. It limits you. You don't need its permission. Here's the pattern you must recognize. Emotion spikes. The body reacts. The mind scrambles for justification. That's how people self-sabotage while believing they're being honest. Honesty without discipline is chaos. That's the key. Real-world example. Someone criticizes you at work. Emotion says, defend yourself. So you explain, over-explain, justify. Every extra word lowers your authority. Silence would have preserved it. An undisciplined mind works against you. Another example. You feel unmotivated. Emotion says, rest, scroll, delay. So you do. And tomorrow looks exactly the same. It's not about burnout. It's about obedience to emotion. It's not about motivation. It's about discipline. Here's the rule you must adopt. Never act at the peak of emotion. Pause. Slow your breathing. Lower your voice. That pause is not weakness. It is dominance. You have a choice. Elite performers don't feel less emotion. They just don't let it drive. They train themselves to respond, not react. Reaction is automatic. Response is deliberate. That's the key. Here's how you train it. First, delay action. Emotion wants immediacy. Discipline creates space. Count to 10. Walk away. Wait 1 hour. Second, reduce stimulation. Less noise. Less scrolling. Less input. A calm environment builds a calm mind. Third, practice emotional restraint daily. Small moments. Traffic. Disagreement. Silence instead of reaction. Repetition builds control. An undisciplined mind works against you. A trained mind stays calm under pressure. And pressure is where power is revealed. Understand this. People who can't control emotion are predictable. Predictability makes you manipulable. If they can trigger you, they can control you. You don't need their permission to be composed. You don't need to explain yourself. That's the key. Emotional control is not suppression. It's command. You still feel. You just decide when and how to act. That's mastery. And mastery compounds. Every time you choose restraint, your confidence grows. Not loud confidence. Quiet certainty. The kind that doesn't flinch. You are no longer ruled by impulse. You are no longer hijacked by mood. You are in control. But control requires fuel. And that fuel is attention. Because even a calm mind collapses when focus is stolen. You've learned to manage emotion. Now you must protect what directs it. Because what you focus on decides everything. You mastered reaction. Now it's time to master attention. Your focus is under attack. Constantly. Relentlessly. And most people never notice it happening. They think they lack time. They think they lack energy. They think they lack motivation. They don't. They lack control over their attention. An undisciplined mind works against you. Here is the truth. Whatever controls your focus controls your life. Not talent. Not luck. Not circumstances. Focus. You have a choice. That's the key. Look around. People can't sit still. Can't think deeply. Can't stay on one task without reaching for stimulation. Phone. Notifications. Noise. This isn't harmless. It's training your mind to be weak. Every distraction you indulge teaches your brain one thing. You are not in charge. An undisciplined mind works against you. Distraction fragments thought. Fragmented thought destroys execution. And without execution, nothing changes. People start things they never finish. They plan but never build. They dream but never commit. It's not because they don't care. It's because their focus is hijacked. You don't need their permission to disconnect. You don't need approval to go quiet. That's the key. Real-world example. Someone says they want to improve their life. But they check their phone every 5 minutes. That's not ambition. That's addiction. Another example. Someone says they're overwhelmed. But they consume information all day and create nothing. Input without focus creates anxiety. Output requires discipline. An undisciplined mind works against you. Focus is not intensity. It's exclusion. It's choosing one thing and ignoring everything else. That's hard for most people. Because ignoring distraction feels uncomfortable. But discomfort is the price of power. High-level performers guard their focus aggressively. They say no often. They are unreachable on purpose. Not because they're better. Because they're disciplined. You have a choice. Here is the rule you must live by. If it doesn't move your life forward, it gets limited. Not eliminated forever. Limited. Social media, news, noise. These things drain attention without building strength. It's not about being extreme. It's about being intentional. That's the key. Here's how you rebuild focus. First, single task. One task. One objective. No switching. Multitasking is mental weakness. Second, create focus blocks. Set a time. No phone. No interruptions. Train your brain to stay. Third, finish what you start. Completion builds confidence. Abandonment builds doubt. Your mind learns discipline through follow-through. An undisciplined mind works against you. A focused mind compounds results. Understand this clearly. People who control focus control outcomes. They see patterns others miss. They move faster with less effort. They stay calm because they're not scattered. Focus creates clarity. Clarity creates confidence. And confidence is quiet. You don't need to announce your plans. You don't need to explain your process. Silence protects focus. That's the key. Every time you resist distraction, you strengthen authority over your mind. Every time you choose depth over noise, you gain power. This is not temporary discipline. This is identity level change. You are becoming someone who directs attention on command. And that changes everything. Because once your focus is sharp, once your emotions are controlled, once your thoughts are disciplined, there is only one thing left. The force that makes all of this permanent. Not motivation, not inspiration, discipline. You've built awareness. You've controlled emotion. You've protected focus. Now it's time to lock it in. Because discipline is not a tool. It is the final authority. You've gathered the currency. Now you must learn how to spend it. Everything you've learned comes down to this. Without discipline, nothing lasts. Awareness fades. Focus drifts. Emotional control collapses. Discipline is what makes control permanent. An undisciplined mind works against you. Most people misunderstand discipline. They think it's punishment. They think it's restriction. It's not. Discipline is self-respect in action. It's choosing long-term power over short-term comfort. You have a choice. That's the key. Motivation is unreliable. It shows up when it wants. It disappears under pressure. Discipline shows up regardless. That's why disciplined people win quietly. They don't wait to feel ready. They act because it's time. It's not about mood. It's about command. An undisciplined mind works against you. Look at how people fail. They start strong. They fade fast. Why? Because they built habits on feeling, not structure. When emotion dips, so does effort. When effort dips, progress stops. Discipline solves that. It removes negotiation. You don't ask, do I feel like it? You ask, what must be done? You don't need their permission. Not from people, not from your own comfort. That's the key. Real-world example. Training, work, personal growth. The disciplined person shows up tired, shows up bored, shows up anyway, and over time, that consistency compounds. Small actions, daily, unimpressive in the moment, unstoppable in the long run. An undisciplined mind works against you. Discipline also creates identity. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, your self-trust grows. Every time you break one, it erodes. Confidence is not built by thinking. It's built by follow-through. That's why disciplined people are calm. They trust themselves. They don't panic. They don't rush. They don't overreact. They know they will do what needs to be done. You have a choice. Here's how discipline becomes automatic. First, reduce decision fatigue. Same wake-up time, same routines, same non-negotiables. Structure removes friction. Second, make discipline visible. Track actions. Check boxes. Measure consistency. What gets measured gets repeated. Third, do the hard thing early. Win the morning. The rest of the day follows. Discipline likes momentum. An undisciplined mind works against you. A disciplined mind builds inevitability. This is important. Discipline is not intensity. You don't need to go extreme. You need to go consistent. Burnout comes from chaos, not discipline. Order creates energy. Clarity creates calm. That's the key. Understand this clearly. Life respects discipline. Opportunities show up for those who are ready. Trust is given to those who are reliable. Power flows to those who are controlled. You don't need to chase respect. Discipline attracts it. You don't need to announce strength. Consistency proves it. Silence plus discipline is unstoppable. You are no longer reacting. You are no longer drifting. You are no longer scattered. You are directed. This is what control looks like. Not loud, not emotional, precise. An undisciplined mind works against you. A disciplined mind commands outcomes. And now, the challenge. For the next 30 days. No excuses. No negotiation. You do what you said you would do. Especially when you don't feel like it. That's where power is built. You have a choice. That's the key. From this moment forward, your mind answers to you. Not emotion. Not distraction. Not fear. You control your thoughts. You control your focus. You control your actions. And when you do that, life no longer controls you. It responds. This is not the end. This is your standard. Control your mind, or be controlled by life.